Merrill, Alliance Tutoring. I'm going to talk to you today about topic sentences, probably the second most important thing in any essay after the thesis statement. Let's begin with a definition. What is a topic sentence exactly? A topic sentence is the first sentence of every body paragraph of an argumentative essay. So obviously not the introduction and not really the conclusion either. But every other paragraph, you're going to start with the topic sentence. Here are the three most important qualities for those topic sentences. Number one, you want it to clearly explain what the paragraph is going to be about in totality. Everything that paragraph is going to be about is in that sentence, very clearly explained. Number two, and repeating the word clearly, notice, clearly connects to the thesis statement. Clearly, not in a confusing way, not in a rambling way. You want it to be very direct. You want to be able to explain that to a 5-year-old child. That 5-year-old child should be able to understand that topic sentence. It should connect to the thesis. And lastly, it should transition from the previous paragraph. That can be simple. That can be as simple as a word like additionally, or on the other hand, a phrase like that. But you do need some sort of transition. All right, so with those three qualities in mind, let's take a look at an example. Here is what it looks like when you do it effectively. Let's take, I don't know, my favorite book ever, The Great Gatsby. Say your thesis is, the characters in The Great Gatsby all reflect the hopeless dreams of the Roaring Twenties, with only one exception, the one that proves the rule. So that's your thesis. To boil it down very simply, all the characters reflect those hopeless dreams. There's one that does not. Topic sentence number one. Tom Buchanan is the prime example of one who lives a life saturated with hopeless ambitions. Very clearly explains that paragraph is going to be about Tom Buchanan and how he lives a life of hopeless dreams. Very clear connection to the thesis as well. He is one example. So there you go. It's got those qualities to it. Topic sentence number two. While the auxiliary characters like Tom all demonstrate this quality, Gatsby himself is the prototype of feudal dreams. Again, very clear. This paragraph is going to be about Gatsby. It's also very clearly connected to the thesis. We're talking about another example, another character that has that feature. And it transitions. While the auxiliary characters like Tom, old information to new information, Gatsby himself is the prototype. So it very clearly has those three characteristics. Last topic sentence, number three. Though Nick Carraway wavers towards the same helpless flailing as Gatsby, he ultimately surrenders the romance, becoming the outlier that proves its ever-presence. There you go again. Very clearly connecting to the thesis. It's the last part of it. He's the exception. It's also very clearly that paragraph's going to be about Nick, and it transitions. The same helpless flailing as Gatsby. That's the old information, what you were just talking about in the previous paragraph. New information, going to talk about Nick. Now, let's take a look at an example that doesn't go so hot. Say you're talking about, how about Hamlet? Very unpopular work, I know. Probably never seen it. Here is the thesis that you could be working with here. Shakespeare uses the imagery of weeds to suggest the metaphorical infestation of the kingdom. Fine as a thesis. Okay, I think that's quite clear. Topic sentence number one. Hamlet's monologue in Act 1 suggests the kingdom is an overgrown garden, suggesting its corruption. Yeah, that works. That paragraph's clearly going to be about the monologue in Act 1. It does connect to the thesis about the imagery of weeds and metaphorical infestation. Very good. Topic sentence number two. Later in the play, transition, Hamlet orders his mother not to spread compost on the weeds, an analogy for her relationship with Claudius. Very clearly connects to the thesis. Okay, that's, or she orders her not to spread the compost in the weeds, an analogy for the relationship. So there it is, connecting to that concept of metaphorical use of weeds. Good, fine. Topic sentence number 3. Here's where things get hairy. In his references to the garden, Hamlet alludes to the Garden of Eden, suggesting that his tragedy is a fall from grace. So the problem here is that that's an interesting point, fine, and I guess we get a clear sense of what that paragraph's going to be about, but what does that have to do with the thesis? The thesis says nothing about allusions to the Garden of Eden. It does not really include this point. That Garden of Eden allusion really isn't it's not a metaphor, right? It's not part of the metaphorical language that you're talking about in the thesis. So that would be a poor topic sentence and really content that's not going to line up with your thesis. So what would be better? Take number 2. The ghost references a week of forgetfulness, another form of infestation that he warns his son about. Okay, now we're good. We got another example of that metaphorical infestation, clearly connects to the thesis. You have 3 component parts there. Notice that with the structure of this essay now, that are all equal pieces that all line up with that thesis. This is structure 101. If you can do this effectively, you have the backbone of an amazing essay. If you blow it, then it's going to be confusing. It's going to be hard to follow. You're not going to get the grade you want either. So, good luck, everybody. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. Alex@alliancetutoring.com.